Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on April 26, 2022 at approximately 5:16 a.m. PST. Time to get to work, shall we? So, looking at the finances, actually before I get into that, just to let you know, I returned to this world, to this lifetime, at this particular time for one primary reason. And that is to let people know, to let everyone in existence know that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, there are certainly going to be some pretty upset people over the next little while. If you watch the world around you, okay, now if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel because there's a lot of information to get underway. And quite frankly, we've sat around long enough. Now, if you look at the world around you, things are taking a pretty dark turn and showing some pretty sour side effects. Now, I know everybody's wound up in a real tight drum, and we will get to all of that. But to start with, we're going to look at the material world, because changing this world can be done, and it can be done by you. People have likely underestimated you, yourself included, for the better portion of your life. Okay, about what you're capable of, about where you fit in the world. The biggest miscalculation most of us make, myself included, is underestimating our own ability. Now, I've pulled off some pretty bizarre things, and you probably have as well. What we're looking at today is simply how to get the energy in your house working properly, the material world. It's time to put the power of each of you back in your own hands. Now, all of that starts right here. Okay, the energy in your world, the thought itself is not technically the beginning of things. It's actually a midpoint. The original, well, I guess technically the thought would qualify. Okay, but here's the thing. The actual original origin of things, of your life, starts way up here in the etheric plane. When you get into the physical world, that up here is where that concept comes in. Now, most of you think that it comes to the mind, and in a sense it does. It does go through the brain, but it's not the logic center that it's targeting, though that is the one that we've been trained to use. Until recently. Okay, in the last 50 years, the level of, and especially in the last 10, the level of intelligence of the people on this planet has been deliberately sidetracked. Okay, we've been taught to rely on technology. We've been taught to rely on governments and what have you to tell you exactly how to live. Now, before governments got involved, and they are very necessary, okay, this is the time to work with the government, with the religious communities. But before the governments got involved, the religious communities did. Okay, and taught you that you were not capable of doing a whole lot of things, while at the same time telling you you are. Now, here's the thing. It starts here. The thought gets to you, but it's not until you get that emotional drive that you're going to do much. Now, we're going to look at the material world today. Okay, and by that, I do mean your finances, the layout of your physical world, the energy that runs that concept. But it has to start here. And by starting there, and by starting in your heart, by starting right here, you get that emotional drive. Now, you know yourself. You've been told for years, you may have been telling yourself that you were doing the best you could. And in all fairness, you have been. Because of the way you've been trained, you've been doing the best you can with what you've got. So, take a look at your world the way it is right now, and let's get started on moving the world. Okay. Society is going down a real black path right now, and it looks like it's getting blacker. But the reality behind it is, everything, as you've seen, I'm sure, in your own life, everything looks bleaker before it finally gets sorted out. If you're trying to sort a room out, it looks like it's messier before you get it straightened out. the other saying that goes with it is it's always darkest before the dawn. Well, we are in the dark point, and it's up to us to turn the lights on. Okay. Now, whatever brought you to where you are right now, whatever experiences you've gone through, that has brought you to the same place as everybody else. Right here, right now. This is not the time to deny who or what you are. This is not the time to decide to look in at what other people can go and at what other people say and go, gee, there's so much luck here. Now, I made the mistake myself of assuming that many people around me were were better off than I was. Okay, I kept trying to figure out how to fit in, and that didn't work well. Kept trying to figure out how money worked. Figured out how money worked, but I convinced myself erroneously that it worked differently for me. Now, it wasn't until just recently that I figured out the truth behind that one. So, first and foremost, if you haven't done this already, and the reason I use these tools, that I'm offering you these tools, is not because of the fact that they're the best in the world. This is simply an issue of these are the tools I personally use and that have got me to the point that I am. Now, this little sign, the top one, I have legally acquired a minimum of $3,500 by April 30th, 2022 at 23:59. 23:59 is the military time for 1 man to midnight. Now, because I run my own company, okay, IVE stands for Inner Voice Enterprises, has legally generated a minimum of $600 by April 30th, 2022 at 23:59, 1 minute to midnight. Now, the trick with this 3,500, that is the amount that you're aiming to generate. Now, for me, it only requires 2,500 to actually run my house. Okay, to run my entire house. That's rent or mortgage if that's what you've got. Utilities, including 1 credit card. Okay. Your insurance, your entertainment, your travel, and your food. Okay, and I probably missed a couple of minor incidentals, but you get the idea. Whatever it costs to run your household. Okay, now it only cost me 2,500, but I'm now targeting 3,500. And I think if I remember correctly, of course, where did I put my glasses? There they are. I can't read at a distance yet. Now, or more to the point, I can't read at this mid distance yet. So if we take that and we look, what are we looking at the minimum where everything comes in. Yeah, now, here's the neat part about it. When I am talking about the money that you acquire, this includes your any sort of social security check, welfare check, social assistance check, paychecks, or your business income. Not to mention any sort of tax return and money you find. Okay, now I've targeted 3,500. Okay, but because of the way I've been doing things, what happens is you get the idea of what you require. Right, then put that sign down. Okay, put this sign on paper where you can see it on a regular basis. And it's the top half that matters to most of you. Bear in mind, running a house is very much like running a business. Okay, you've got overhead, you've got things that you're aiming to do. For me, my house, the physical dwelling in which I live, I finally got to a point, and I'm really happy about this part. But for somebody that is technologically challenged, I've got a laptop here, I've got 3 monitors up and around it, a printer that I've just picked up. Okay, and this is my workstation. This is where I deal with my finances. This is also where I deal with all of my writing. Because as I mentioned, I do have this other little income thing. Yes, I've got my own business. Okay. Yes, I've got a regular job. but I'm also a published author. And by getting the energy in your office working, okay, what happens is you'll be able to attain all of it. It's going to take you some time. But when I talk about working together, this is why I'm offering you these tools. Okay. Much of the information I put together is currently in book form. And like I said yesterday, okay. Now I'm not going to give you the whole itinerary, but like I mentioned yesterday when I was talking about the home, okay, I had to come up with a plan, because money does not care how you feel. It doesn't matter who you are or what you're up to. But the tools I personally use are translatable. You can implement them regardless of your income level with the same results. Now, granted, if you've already got a fair income, your results may happen faster, but they all work. Now, there may be modifications. You may be so far in debt, you're looking at it going, how do I possibly get around this? Now, I was guided into bankruptcy twice by so-called professionals, and I could not be more appalled, I don't think, by the professionals that actually guided me into bankruptcy. Okay, same as the people that are guiding you. The educational system is failing miserably. Okay, kids are not being taught how to handle money. Now, there are lots of really good books out there for making money work if you've got $30,000 to $40,000. I'm willing to bet. Of course, not money, but I'm very convinced that most of you do not have $30,000 to $40,000 to run your household, or spare money that you can play with. Okay, now don't kid yourself. Some of you have beautiful homes, beautiful cars, but I'd lay odds that most of you, those beautiful cars and beautiful houses, are mortgaged or leased up to the hilt. Okay, which means, by the way, you're renting from the bank. If you paid your house off and you're paying land taxes, you're renting from the government. You don't own the property if you're paying taxes. Now, we combine that with the concept that the religious communities, from what I gather, don't seem to pay tax on the land upon which their building sits. Now, that means if the religious community that tells you that money is evil, okay, that greed is evil, if that is to be believed, then you have to wonder why, if they've already paid off their property, if they've already paid off the building, and they're not paying taxes on the land, that's if, then the religious community does actually own their property, except for one small little glitch. Okay, and that is the planet you're living on cannot be owned. The original or the early North American Indians. Okay, those people used to have it right. By their own culture, they used to believe wholeheartedly that you could not own the land. You simply were caretakers. And that is the position that the entirety, not just the so-called First Nations, the entirety of the planet, of the peoples of this planet, are responsible for. Caretaking of the planet. Now, with that in mind, since we're all renting on the whole, okay, we have to take a look at how to operate the house. Okay, how to operate that physical construct to keep it over your head. Now, I am personally not a multimillionaire. Wouldn't mind being one, but the reality of it is that I'm not. So, the first thing to look at is you gotta know, and go back over the other videos because I don't want to get drawn into explaining it all over again. Figure out how much you actually owe. Oh, get it written down if you haven't already. Now, the biggest problem with change is we get told, this has to change. Take a look at your own bank account. I made the same mistake. Okay. I corrected part of the problem, paid a whole pile of debt off, but didn't correct the problem until recently. And the problem I had was I was going to restaurants way too much and spending a staggering amount of money along with it. Now, the neat part was when COVID hit, it helped immensely because it stopped me from going out. That's just the reality behind it. It stopped me from going out. Net result, I got all my back debts paid off because I didn't have anything to work with. I had no place to essentially spend it. Up here in BC, Canada, in Kelowna, where I am, okay, we were locked down for 5 months. Well, that 5 months managed to give me time to save up, to redirect almost $2,000 in cash that was just going out the window. Okay, they opened things up here, and now I'm not as inclined to go to the restaurant. Net result, I'm not wasting the money anymore. I shouldn't call it wasting, I enjoy it. But you may have expenses that are way overstated. Now, I am not what you would call a financial advisor. I simply look at the world from what I've personally seen, not what I've been taught to regurgitate. Okay, I remember going to a bank one day, and they were pushing this idea of an RSP. Okay, now the funny part about it is that RSP, the guy laid it out nicely, and I finally looked at him, and this was one of the few financial advisors that I talked to that actually was honest with me. I literally asked him, I said, okay, you're making this sound like a real good deal. And this is the question you have to ask your financial advisors. If you had the opportunity, would you buy what you're selling? The guy looks me right in the eye and he goes, he says, and he closed it, he double checked to make sure the door was closed, nobody was nearby, clearly protecting his job. Okay. And he says, look, he says, I encourage the sale of these things because I'm told that's what I have to do. He says, myself, I wouldn't touch an RSP with a 10-foot pole. Now, that was an honest answer, and I love the fact he did it. Okay. I love the fact he did it that way. And what ended up happening was I looked at him and I went, okay. He says, look, I wouldn't touch it, but here's the thing. I got talking to another gentleman a little later that actually explained the way that RSPs work. And there are times when an RSP is useful, a registered retirement savings plan. There are times when that is useful. Okay, but only certain times. Now, with that in mind, do look into them. Look into how. Don't ask what the payout is. That's not the real relevant question. The real payout is how income tax is affected by contributions to the RSP. That's where the real benefit is. Okay, so with that in mind, okay, really take a look at that. Get to understand the finances, not what they're told to tell you. The question you've got to look into is what impact and what percentage of impact your contribution to the RSP is going to do to reduce your income tax. And this applies to whatever country you're in if you pay income tax. Okay. Now, with that in mind, okay, make sure you get that underwrote. Hopefully, you've already got your list of operating expenses for your house. Not only the current ones, but any debts being leases or mortgages that you have. Look at anything that is costing you an interest rate on top of it. Credit cards are a prime example. Now, I mentioned the idea that you take a look at one credit card and put that under your utilities. The rest of them, do not destroy them. Okay, I'm telling you, yeah, there's a real good temptation. A lot of the finance companies will tell you if you've got multiple credit cards and you're having trouble, destroy them. I'm telling you from practical experience, this is a bad idea. I'm telling you, this is a bad idea. Okay, because it will damage, from what I've personally witnessed, it damages your credit rating. And if you're interested in a credit rating at all, then that's a problem. So I'll tell you how to deal with that. But here's the thing with the credit rating. For me, I like the look of it. I like seeing what mine is doing because it's an independent outside source that gives me an idea of where I'm standing. Okay, and the same thing will apply to you. Okay, just have to deal with this. I do not do one thing at a time well. You know, this is just an issue of making certain this goes. But where it comes to the credit cards, like I said, do not destroy the credit cards. The best way I heard it put before I ever learned a whole lot of this, one person I was talking to had multiple credit cards. And what they did, because they wanted to stop from spending them, but they didn't actually want to destroy them, they put them all in individual Ziploc bags. That was to protect the card. Then they took those Ziploc bags, sealed, and put them in the bottom of a bucket. Filled the bucket with water and froze the bucket solid. Okay. In that way, they could no longer access their credit cards, but they still had them. Okay, but they could no longer accidentally deal with them, spend them. The neat part about it, just have to deal with this because it's a critical issue on my end. This is one of the things about operating your own home, your own business. You've got to be able to do more than one thing. And unfortunately, right now, this is technology, and that's a pain in the neck. At least for me. So, bear with me. Just I should have paused this, but welcome to my world. There we go. Now enough of the quiet time. We'll get back to this mess. Now here's the neat part. Okay, by doing that, you hold on to your credit cards. Do not destroy them. Okay. Once you've got that operational, now we get down to getting things out of the way. Now I've got the energy in my house working properly. I've got the energy in my home working reasonably well. The difference is the house. The difference is the house is the physical world. Okay, the brain of your house is your office wherever you work on your finances. The brain of your home, which is a feel of the place you're living, is also your office. That's the junction point where all of this gets made into reality. Okay, but when I said working together, if you don't know how to set things in motion, if you do not recall how to get started on changing your life for what you consider the better, that's where people you trust come in handy. Okay, now I'm not telling you what religion you should follow, but I will tell you any religion that is not, if your parish or your temple or your church is not directly helping the poor people around you, the financially challenged, if they are not allowing a different, the different color and different skin color people in, if they are turning away people that are of a different sexual orientation, if they are separating people by any standard, I was told by one person, I would have invited you to my church if you had been dressed better. Okay, if you believe in God in any name, okay, if the church you're following is denying any individual for any reason, there is an interesting situation here. You may be following the wrong guideline. if you're taking the advice of a financial advisor, okay, and they're trying to sell you some sort of benefit, some sort of package, some sort of insurance that they themselves, if it applies to them, would not be willing to buy, then really, really be cautious. These are not the people that are guiding you in your best interest. They're working towards their best interest. Now, from my standpoint, I could turn around and go, oh, because I do have where these two little books here. Okay, these are in print. Okay, now, of course, the reality of it is both of them are only available through me at this point. Okay, we have Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. This is the backbone of building your home. Okay, this one, Believe in Your Business and Follow Your Dreams. The backbone of building your house. And I don't mean the physical construction plans. I'm referring to the mindset. Now, these two books, yes, you can get them through me, but the tools I'm talking about here, okay, are the same tools that I put in smaller form. And as you can see, these are very small books. Okay, but the tools I'm offering here are the same ones that are offered in these books. Now, the reality is there's another 11 books I'm working on in that same series. Okay, the Believe In series. Okay, Believe in Yours, more to the point. Okay, I am working on a number of them that will fit into that I will get put out. And that is one of the things I did with the offices. I've now got an idea in mind as to how to work all this through. Okay, but the biggest trick to making your house run, to straightening out your finances, is to understand first and foremost what shape you're in. Take stock of the shape you're in. When you look at your home, take stock of the shape your home is in. I only follow 3 laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, if you follow those 3 laws, compare them to whatever laws you're following. Okay, whether they are government laws, religious laws, personal laws, support group laws, it doesn't matter. Look at all of them and compare them to those 3. Okay, now, once you've got a stock on where you're standing, we can turn around and change. And when I say we, I will give you the tools. You're going to have to do the work. No matter what tools are offered to you by whoever, the best tools in the world are 100% useless if you never pick them up. Now, support groups like AA and NA are absolutely on the money. Okay, when they say the first step of helping yourself is admitting you've got a problem. Now, I will tell you, there's a lot of people out there that go, oh, we're about a bankruptcy trustee. Talk to us. We will help get you a better deal a better rate on your stuff. We will help you get out of debt. What they do, in essence, is they make the people that you owe money to lose money, and you end up losing money. The bankruptcy trustee, on the whole, is making money. And yes, if somebody wants to argue at that point, knock yourself out. I'm not interested in arguing anymore. I've been through those systems. Okay. And I'm telling you, it's absolutely imperative that you get a handle on where things are. Now, I will be back again tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow we're going to deal more with the home, and we're starting to move forward. I'm getting a solid plan in my head, finally. Okay, on how to make this happen. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive